You don't need motivation. You need force. Motivation fades, excuses grow, feelings lie, but discipline is truth. Every person you admire was built in silence, through force, not by waiting to feel ready, but by doing it anyway. You will never change your life until you learn to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. This is not about comfort, it's about control. This audiobook will teach you how to force yourself every day, every decision, every moment, until discipline becomes who you are. How to force yourself to be disciplined. Chapter 1. Stop waiting to feel ready. You've been told to wait. Wait until you feel confident. Wait until you feel inspired. Wait until the timing feels right. That's the lie that has chained millions of people to mediocrity, because readiness never comes. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. You don't feel ready. You decide you are ready. That's the difference between those who dream and those who move. Every morning, your mind offers you comfort disguised as logic. Not yet. Tomorrow will be better. When I'm less tired. That voice sounds reasonable, but it's poison. Winners act before they feel ready. They move while they're scared. They know readiness is not a condition. It's a consequence. Action creates confidence. Action builds certainty. You must flip the formula. Stop waiting to feel ready. Act first, because motion is what ignites belief. When a rocket launches, it burns the most fuel in the first few seconds, not when it's already flying. That's you. The hardest part isn't the work itself, it's the start. The start is heavy, it's uncomfortable. But once you begin, momentum carries you. Here's the truth. Your brain isn't built for growth. It's built for survival. It doesn't want you to take risks, to step into uncertainty, to feel pain. So it disguises fear as, I'm not ready. You have to recognize that voice for what it is, resistance. And resistance dies only when you move. Every time you wait, you reinforce hesitation. Every time you act, you reinforce power. That's how identities are built, and one decision at a time. Say it. I don't need to feel ready. I need to move. Repeat it again until it becomes your reflex. Remember your first big challenge, the one you thought you couldn't handle. Maybe it was your first job, your first speech, your first exam. You weren't ready then either, but you did it. And afterward, you realized something powerful. You were capable all along. That's what discipline teaches you. Readiness isn't the gate you pass before action. It's the reward you earn after action. The world doesn't wait for those who hesitate. It rewards the ones who move despite fear. Every time you postpone, you lose strength. Every time you start, you steal power back. Look around you. Every successful athlete, every entrepreneur, every leader, they all share one habit: decisive action. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for motivation. They acted. They forced themselves. When they were tired, they showed up. When they were afraid, they spoke anyway. When they doubted, they moved forward. And that's the secret. Discipline isn't about certainty. It's about courage in uncertainty. You might think, but I need to plan. Yes, plan. but don't hide behind planning. Perfect timing is a myth used by the weak to justify inaction. The disciplined person knows start ugly, refine later. You can adjust a moving car, but you can't steer one that's parked. So start, launch that project, go to the gym, write the first page, record the first video, send the first message. Do it badly if you must, but do it. Because the second you act, fear begins to fade. Every day is a small battle between two versions of you, the one that waits and the one that moves. Only one of them survives. Each time you choose movement, you rewire your brain. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. You call it transformation. The brain adapts to what you repeatedly do, not what you think about doing. So if you repeatedly act, regardless of readiness, your identity becomes action-driven. That's when you become unstoppable. Repeat this truth. Readiness is earned through action. Think of a soldier in training. They don't get to say, "I'll fight when I feel ready." They fight when it's time. They train their body to move before their mind hesitates. That's discipline. That's force. You can build that same reflex. Start by shrinking your decision window. The longer you wait, the stronger hesitation grows. When you say you'll start something, give yourself 5 seconds. 5 seconds to move before your brain talks you out of it. It's called the 5-second rule. 5 seconds to stand up, to begin, to change. Count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. Every time you do that, you silence doubt and amplify discipline. Here's the paradox. You think you need confidence to act, but confidence comes from acting. No one builds courage in theory. Courage is built in motion. The first time you take control, your mind will fight back. It'll whisper, "You're not ready." Answer it, "I don't need to be." Say it again louder. "I don't need to be ready. I just need to begin." That's the key. That's the shift that changes everything. Let me tell you what happens when you stop waiting. You reclaim time. You reclaim respect. You reclaim control. Because waiting isn't neutral, it's decay. Every delay erodes momentum, and momentum is life. Start acting before you feel like it, and soon action becomes the feeling. That's when discipline replaces emotion. You stop chasing motivation and start living by principle. You become the kind of person others call driven. But you'll know the truth. You're not driven. You're decided. From this moment forward, eliminate the phrase, "I'm not ready." Erase it from your vocabulary. Replace it with, "I'll do it anyway." Say it every morning. "I'll do it anyway. I'll start anyway. I'll win anyway." That's how discipline sounds. That's how champions think. You have a choice. Always wait and decay or act and grow. That's the fork in the road. Choose action. Choose discomfort. Choose force. Because readiness isn't coming. And that's the best news you'll ever hear. Why? Because now you know it's up to you. You've learned the first rule of discipline. Stop waiting. When you act without permission, you become powerful. When you act without motivation, you become unstoppable. Now you've built the first muscle of force, movement without emotion. And this is only the beginning. You've started to move. You've started to lead yourself. But the next test is harder. Can you keep moving when everything in you says stop? Because the war isn't just about starting, it's about continuing. That's what separates the strong from the almost strong. Let's go deeper. You've stopped waiting to feel ready. Now it's time to master the next law of force. Chapter 2. Do it even when you don't want to. Let's be honest. You don't always feel like doing the work. You don't always feel like showing up. You don't always feel like giving your best. But the truth is simple. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never get anywhere. Discipline begins the moment motivation ends. It's what separates the weak from the strong, the talkers from the doers, the almost from the accomplished. You can't build greatness on convenience. You build it through consistency, especially on the days you don't want to. Every morning you wake up with two voices in your head. One says, let's rest a bit more. The other says, get up. We have work to do. Your future depends on which one you obey. The first voice is your comfort. The second is your command. And here's the hard truth. If you keep listening to the first voice, you'll stay stuck. If you obey the second, your life will transform. Discipline is not about doing what feels good. It's about doing what's required. When you train yourself to act despite emotion, you start to master yourself. Because if you don't control your feelings will control you. Winners don't wait to feel like winners. They act like winners long before they ever feel like it. That's the secret nobody wants to accept. Emotions are unreliable. They fluctuate with sleep, weather, mood, people, environment. If you let emotions run your life, your progress will always be inconsistent. One day of focus, 2 days of excuses, 1 week of effort, a month of avoidance, and then you wonder why nothing changes. It's because you've built a habit of quitting the moment it's uncomfortable. That ends now. Discipline means this. I do it because I said I would. Not because I'm motivated, not because I'm inspired, but because I gave myself an order. That's how soldiers train. That's how champions live. They operate on command, not on feeling. When it's time to train, they train. When it's time to study, they study. When it's time to push, they push. No negotiation, no delay, no drama. You must hold yourself to the same standard because discipline is not about talent. It's about self-respect. Think about this. Every time you skip what you said you'd do, you send a message to your subconscious. I can't trust myself. But every time you do what you said you'd do, even when it's hard, you build a different message. I keep my word. That's how confidence is built. Not through hype, not through motivation videos, through proof, through evidence. You earn confidence by keeping promises to yourself, especially when it hurts. The gym is empty early in the morning for a reason. Most people need comfort before commitment. They want the result, not the repetition. But the few who show up when they don't want to, they grow stronger than everyone else. Those early hours, those late nights, those quiet repetitions when nobody's watching, that's where your new identity is formed. You are not your feelings. You are your follow-through. Every time you say, I'll do it later, understand what you're really saying. I value comfort over growth. That's the deal most people make every day. And that's why they never change. You must rewire your relationship with resistance. Instead of avoiding it, use it as a trigger. The moment you think, I don't want to, that's your signal to move. Because if you only act when it's easy, you'll never grow strong enough to face what's hard. Repeat this. I do it even when I don't want to. Say it again. I do it especially when I don't want to. That's the mindset of power. That's the identity of discipline. Let me tell you a truth that will set you free. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. And that's exactly why it works. Your feelings will betray you. They'll tell you to rest when you should rise. They'll tell you to scroll when you should study. They'll tell you to quit when you should continue. Discipline doesn't listen to feelings. It listens to decisions. You don't need to want to, you just need to begin. Because once you start, momentum carries you forward. The first 5 minutes are always the hardest. But once you're in motion, the resistance fades. That's why force matters. You don't wait for the spark. You are the spark. Here's a story. A professional runner was once asked, how do you stay motivated to train every day? He smiled and said, I don't. I just run anyway. That's the whole secret in one sentence. Discipline is doing it anyway. You're tired, do it anyway. You're bored, do it anyway. You're afraid, do it anyway. You don't feel like it, especially then, do it anyway. Because the version of you that acts despite emotion becomes the version that wins despite obstacles. You'll never regret the work you did when you didn't want to, but you'll always regret the comfort you chose instead. Comfort feels good now, but it costs later. Discipline hurts now, but it pays forever. Remember that. Every time you want to quit, whisper this truth. Pain now or pain later, but pain is unavoidable. You get to choose the type. If you want power, force yourself to show up when you least want to. That's how you break weakness. That's how you dominate your mind. That's how you build the life others only wish for. Because discipline is forged in resistance, not in ease. It's in the early mornings, the cold showers, the uncomfortable conversations. It's in the repetitions no one claps for. It's in the small, silent acts that no one sees but that shape everything you become. So the next time your mind says, not today, you answer, today, especially today. You move, you act, you win. Because discipline doesn't require permission. It requires decision. And once you've built the habit of doing it even when you don't want to, you're no longer forcing discipline. You're becoming it. You've learned to override emotion with execution. You've learned to turn resistance into a trigger for action. You've learned to rise when everything in you says stay down. That's not motivation. That's mastery. You've just built the second pillar of force, action despite emotion. The first chapter taught you to start before you're ready. This chapter taught you to continue when you're unwilling. But there's one more enemy you must confront. The inner voice that whispers, maybe later. You deserve a break. It's okay to skip. That voice is seductive, persuasive, and deadly. It doesn't attack with fear. It attacks with logic. And it must be destroyed because that's the voice that ruins potential. And that's exactly what we'll face next. Chapter 3. Kill the voice that negotiates. There's a voice in your head. You hear it every morning, every time you face something difficult, Every time you try to improve your life, it sounds reasonable. It sounds logical. But it's the voice that ruins your discipline. It says you can start tomorrow. You've worked hard enough. You deserve a break. That's the voice of negotiation, the internal salesman of weakness. And if you don't silence it, it will destroy your potential. Discipline isn't a debate, it's a command. You can't argue your way into greatness. You can't negotiate your way to success. The second you start reasoning with the voice of comfort, you've already lost. Every time you answer it, you give it power. Every time you listen, you make it stronger. The only way to kill it is through immediate, decisive action. You don't think, you move. You don't debate, you do. That's how you take control back from the voice that has controlled you for years. Understand this. The voice of negotiation is not evil. It's primitive. It comes from the part of your brain that wants safety, comfort, and predictability. But that part of your brain doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about keeping you alive, not about helping you thrive. So when you decide to wake up earlier, to work out, to focus, that voice panics. It says, stay in bed. It says, just skip one day. It says, you've done enough. It doesn't know that comfort kills ambition. It only knows that pain feels dangerous. But you are not an animal reacting to pain. You are a human with direction. You have the power to override the voice. And that's exactly what discipline is, refusing to negotiate with weakness. Negotiation looks like this. I'll start after I rest. I'll finish later. I'll just do a little. Because every latter becomes never. Every just one time becomes habit. And every I'll do it tomorrow builds a pattern of delay. The mind that negotiates becomes the mind that surrenders. But the disciplined mind says, I don't bargain with comfort. I said I would, so I will. That's the identity shift. From victim to commander. From talker to executor. Think of your goals like a contract, a binding agreement between you and your future. The voice that negotiates is the one trying to rewrite that contract when things get hard. Your job is to enforce it. Every time you feel that urge to stop, remind yourself the contract stands. You don't break the deal because you're tired. You don't rewrite the rule because it's raining. You don't excuse yourself because nobody's watching. That's how discipline grows. In the absence of witnesses, in the silence of decision, in the refusal to negotiate, winners kill the voice before it even speaks. They act faster than doubt can form. They move before hesitation has time to argue. Because hesitation is the playground of weakness. Every second you delay is another second the voice gets stronger. When you hear it, interrupt it. Say out loud, number I've decided. Not maybe. Not we'll see. Just I've decided. That phrase alone kills negotiation. It turns action into instinct. Let me make it real. You set an alarm for 6 a.m. It rings. Instantly, the voice appears, 5 more minutes. You need rest. You can train later. If you listen, you lose. If you move, you win. It's that simple. Discipline isn't built on talent. It's built on reaction time. The faster you act after deciding, the less control that voice has. Don't give it oxygen. Don't give it explanation. Don't give it a platform. Just move. That's how you build dominance. Here's a truth most people never realize. Every negotiation you allow in your head becomes a negotiation you tolerate in your life. You start compromising with yourself, then with others. You lower your standards, accept less, and justify mediocrity. And soon, you wonder where your fire went. It didn't vanish. You just kept negotiating it away. A little comfort here, a little procrastination there, until your discipline faded into dust. But the good news is this. The opposite is also true. Every time you silence that voice, you build power. Every time you obey your higher command, you gain strength. Every small no to weakness becomes a yes to control. The voice of negotiation never disappears completely, but it can lose its power. It will whisper softer each time you ignore it. It will fade as you grow stronger. And one day, it will no longer lead you, it will obey you. That's when you know you've won. That's when you know you've become the force. The next time that inner voice says, "You don't have to today," answer it with, "That's exactly why I will." Every time it says, "You've done enough," say, "I'm just getting started." Every time it says, "You can rest now," say, "I'll rest when it's finished." Turn every excuse into a trigger for action. Use its words as fuel. That's mental alchemy, turning weakness into strength. Remember, the mind that negotiates is the mind that loses control. The mind that commands is the mind that wins freedom. You are not here to debate with yourself. You are here to direct yourself. Your success won't be built on arguments. It'll be built on obedience. Obedience to your mission. Obedience to your values. Obedience to the higher voice inside you, the one that demands greatness, not comfort. When you feel that inner conflict rising, remember this line: "My feelings don't get a vote," because discipline is democracy turned dictatorship, ruled by purpose, not preference. You've killed the voice that negotiates. You've silenced the salesman of comfort. You've replaced hesitation with execution. Now you're ready to face the next evolution, the battlefield of discomfort itself. Because the enemy isn't just the voice inside. It's the environment that tests your resolve, pain, fatigue, uncertainty. And the next chapter will show you how to transform all of it into training. Chapter 4. Discomfort is your training ground. Every strong person you admire was forged in one place: discomfort, not in comfort, not in ease, not in applause, in the long, silent struggle against pain, fatigue, doubt, and fear. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your training ground. It's the place where the weak quit and the strong are born. If you run from it, you run from your potential. If you embrace it, you build power that can't be taken away. Most people spend their lives avoiding pain. They design their days around convenience, comfort, and safety. But comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills growth. The mind loves to stay where it's warm, predictable, and easy. That's where dreams go to die. If you want to change, you must leave that space. You must train in resistance. Every moment of discomfort is a chance to build endurance. Every hardship is a hidden gem. Every test is a repetition for your soul. Think of a muscle. If you stop challenging it, it withers. If you load it, tear it, and push it past what it likes, it grows. Your character works the same way. Growth requires pressure. Pain isn't punishment. It's proof that you're leveling up. Every time you step into discomfort, you send your brain one message: I'm safe in the struggle. That's how warriors are made, not by escaping pain, but by adapting to it. Let's be clear. Discomfort is not chaos. It's controlled adversity. It's the cold shower, not the drowning. It's the 5 a.m. alarm, not the burnout. You use discomfort deliberately, like a tool, to sharpen discipline. When you choose the hard thing, you train your mind to follow command instead of craving ease. So stop searching for balance before you've built resilience. Discipline first, comfort later. Earn your peace through battle. Here's the truth. Comfort is the reward, not the starting point. The strong earn rest because they've suffered through progress. The weak demand rest because they have avoided effort. You can't trick your brain into greatness. You can only train it. Start small. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Wake up an hour earlier. Speak up when it scares you. Sit in silence when your mind screams for distraction. Every small act of discomfort teaches you this one lesson. I can handle more than I thought. When you begin this process, you'll feel resistance. Your mind will scream, "Stop." That's good. That's the signal. Discomfort means you're entering new territory. You're rewiring your nervous system to understand that pain is not danger, it's data. It tells you that you're alive, that you're expanding, that you're doing something real. So when the workout burns, stay in it. When the work gets boring, stay focused. When the challenge feels heavy, breathe through it. Don't run. Grow roots, because every second you endure what most people escape, you separate yourself from the crowd. The world has lied to you about ease. It told you that success should feel smooth. It told you that happiness comes from comfort. But look closer. Every great story, every champion, every hero follows the same path: sacrifice, struggle, victory. The pain you avoid today becomes the weakness you carry tomorrow. The pain you embrace today becomes the strength you wield tomorrow. Choose your pain wisely. You might say, but discomfort is exhausting. Yes, and that's exactly why it works. Discomfort breaks the illusion of limits. It shows you that the line between possible and impossible was drawn by fear, not fact. When you sit in discomfort long enough, you discover something magical. The pain doesn't get smaller, you get stronger. You build tolerance, stamina, willpower, and soon what used to scare you becomes your new normal. That's adaptation, the essence of discipline. Let's redefine what pain means. Pain is not punishment. Pain is the teacher. It humbles you, shapes you, focuses you. You learn more about yourself in 1 hour of discomfort than in a year of ease. When everything hurts, your mind becomes silent. In that silence, you meet your true self, the one who can survive anything. That's the point of discipline. Not to avoid pain, but to build peace within it. There's a phrase I want you to memorize. This hurts, therefore I'm growing. Say it every time your body resists. Say it when your mind complains. Say it when you want to quit, because that pain is the price of transformation. No one becomes exceptional by staying comfortable. When you learn to smile under stress, when you can breathe through difficulty, you become someone who no longer fears the storm. You become the storm. The disciplined mind is forged in moments of discomfort, repeated over time. Cold showers, long runs, endless practice, delayed gratification. Each one rewires your brain to associate pain with progress. Soon, the work that scares others feels natural to you. That's how high performers are born. They don't crave ease. They crave challenge. They seek resistance because they know what's waiting on the other side. Power, clarity, control. You must also remember this. Discomfort is not forever. It fades, but the strength it leaves behind remains permanent. When you push through, your brain rewires to expect victory instead of avoidance. You start to crave that post-pain clarity, that clean, powerful feeling that only comes from doing what others won't. That's when you understand the secret. Discomfort is freedom disguised as struggle, because once you stop fearing pain, no one can control you. No opinion, no rejection, no obstacle can shake you. You've seen worse and you conquered it. So from now on, chase discomfort. Seek it, train in it, master it. When it's hard, whisper to yourself, "This is my training ground." Because it is. Every cold morning, every lonely night, every challenge that feels too big, they're not punishments. They're opportunities to prove that you're built for this. Remember, growth and comfort cannot coexist. You must choose one. If you want strength, embrace struggle. If you want control, endure chaos. If you want greatness, invite pain. Because pain is the tuition and discipline is the diploma. That's how you evolve from ordinary to unstoppable. You've now learned the truth. Discomfort isn't a wall, it's a door, and only the disciplined have the courage to walk through it. But there's another enemy that sneaks in once you've entered this new world: your emotions. Because even when you've learned to handle pain, your feelings will try to drag you back. They'll tell you stories, they'll distort your vision, and they'll make you believe emotion equals truth. In the next chapter, we destroy that illusion. Chapter 5, Your Feelings Are Not Facts. Your feelings are loud. They shout when you're tired. They whisper when you're afraid. They pull you in every direction but forward. And yet most people live as slaves to those feelings. They wake when they feel like it. They work when they feel motivated. They quit when they feel done. That's why they stay stuck. Because feelings are not facts. They're impulses, temporary, unreliable, and often wrong. If you want to master discipline, you must separate what you feel from what you must do. That's emotional control. That's mental freedom. Feelings lie. They exaggerate pain. They magnify fear. They distort truth. You feel tired, but you're capable. You feel anxious, but you're prepared. You feel hopeless, but you're only in a temporary storm. The disciplined mind knows this. Feelings are weather. They come, they go. You don't build your house on the weather. You build it on structure. Your structure is your routine, your rules, your non-negotiables. That's the foundation that doesn't move, no matter how hard your emotions blow. Understand this. Your emotions are chemical reactions, not commandments. They are signals to interpret, not orders to obey. When you feel fear, your body isn't saying, "Stop." It's saying, "Pay attention." When you feel stress, it's not saying, "Quit." It's saying, "Adapt." Emotions become dangerous only when you treat them as truth instead of data. That's why most people self-sabotage. They mistake temporary feelings for permanent facts. They make long-term decisions in short-term moods. You must become the filter. Observe the feeling. Label it, but never let it steer you. Imagine a pilot flying through turbulence. The plane shakes, alarms blare. Passengers panic, but the pilot doesn't jump out of the cockpit screaming, "We're doomed." He stays calm. He reads the instruments. He follows procedure. That's discipline. He trusts the facts, not the feelings. You must do the same. When life shakes, when anxiety hits, when fear rises, stay in the cockpit. Trust your instruments, your values, your plan, your mission. Feelings are the turbulence. Discipline is the flight plan. The mind that obeys emotion will never know stability. One day you're inspired, the next day you're depressed. One week you're consistent, the next week you vanish. That's not a life, that's a storm without a captain. But when you master emotional discipline, you become unshakable. You stop reacting and start directing. You feel everything, but you obey nothing except your purpose. That's power. That's what real control feels like. Stillness in chaos. Here's a truth few understand. The strongest people aren't emotionless. They simply refuse to let emotions drive the car. They acknowledge fear but steer forward. They notice anger but stay composed. They feel doubt but keep building. Discipline isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering response. Feel whatever comes, but act based on principle, not impulse. You can be angry and still act with patience. You can be afraid and still move forward. You can be exhausted and still deliver excellence. That's emotional dominance, the mark of maturity and control. Let's be honest, you've believed your feelings before. You said, "I'm too tired," and skipped the workout. You said, "I'm not in the mood," and avoided the work. You said, "I feel unmotivated," and wasted the day. But later, when the feeling passed, regret appeared. You realized the truth. The task wasn't impossible. You were emotional. Every time you obey feelings, you strengthen their control. Every time you override them, you weaken their grip. So the question is simple: who's in charge? Your emotions or your execution? Because one of them must serve the other. Feelings are like waves. You can't stop them, but you can learn to surf them. The secret is not to fight emotions. It's to move through them. When sadness comes, move. When fear comes, act. When apathy comes, create. Movement breaks emotion's illusion of power. Action is the antidote to feeling. You don't wait to feel better. You act until you do. That's the core of discipline. Every emotion carries a message. Learn to read it. Fear says, "Grow here." Anger says, "Set boundaries." Sadness says, "Let go." Apathy says, "Reconnect." But once you've understood the message, don't stay there. Move forward. Emotion is a visitor, not a resident. Let it teach you, then let it leave. You are not what you feel. You are what you consistently choose to do. The modern world glorifies emotions. Follow your heart. Listen to your feelings. Do what feels right. That advice sounds poetic, but it's poison if your goal is discipline. Because the heart changes direction every hour. The disciplined person doesn't follow their heart. They educate it. They train their emotions to serve their mission, not sabotage it. Here's the shift you must make. Stop asking, "How do I feel?" Start asking, "What must I do?" Because feelings are internal weather. Duty is external direction. When you live by duty, you rise above storms. When you live by feelings, you drown in them. You'll have bad days. You'll feel empty, tired, numb. That's fine. Feel it, but don't worship it. Show up anyway. Speak calmly anyway. Train anyway. You don't need to deny emotions. You just need to deny them control. Say this to yourself every morning. My emotions are messengers, not masters. That phrase rewires your brain. It reminds you that you can observe without obeying. It turns chaos into clarity. So when your mood drops, don't chase it. Anchor to your plan. Anchor to your habits. Anchor to your mission. Because when everything inside feels unstable, structure saves you. Imagine how dangerous you become when feelings no longer control you, when criticism doesn't shake you, when boredom doesn't derail you, when anxiety doesn't stop you. That's when your power multiplies. Because now, nothing external can move you. You decide when to act, how to act, and why to act. That's the calm at the center of the storm, the mind of a disciplined person. You've just learned one of the hardest lessons in life. Your feelings will lie to you, but your actions will reveal the truth. When you act on principle instead of mood, you build an identity that doesn't crumble. You stop living like a thermometer, reacting to temperature, and start living like a thermostat, setting it. That's mastery. You no longer chase peace, you create it. You no longer search for motivation, you command it. You no longer react, you respond. That's what makes you unstoppable. You've conquered the emotional storm. You've learned to see feelings as signals, not orders. But discipline requires more than mental calm. It requires systems that lock in consistency even when emotions try to return. Because the next level of discipline isn't just control, it's automation. It's removing emotion from the process entirely. That's what we'll build next. Chapter 6, Build Routines That Remove Emotion. Discipline is not about strength, it's about structure. Because no matter how powerful your willpower feels today, emotion will always try to pull you away tomorrow. That's why the most disciplined people in the world don't rely on feelings. They rely on routines, systems, schedules, structures that remove choice, silence hesitation, and make consistency automatic. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. Every morning you face a battle. Do I act on emotion or do I act on structure? The moment you leave your discipline to how you feel, you've already lost. Because feelings are unpredictable, but systems are dependable. That's why the military, athletes, monks, and CEOs all live by one principle. Make the right thing automatic. Wake at the same hour. Train at the same time. Focus in the same environment. Repeat. When your routine becomes rhythm, emotion loses control. Let's be clear. Routines aren't cages, they're armor. They protect you from your weaker self. They prevent you from negotiating every day about what matters. If you have to decide every morning whether to work, train, or study, you'll burn out. But if it's already scheduled, the question disappears. Decision fatigue kills discipline. Automation sustains it. The more you automate, the less you hesitate. And the less you hesitate, the faster you grow. You've heard people say, I just need to get motivated again. You don't need motivation. You need a system that works without it. Motivation is emotional energy. It comes and goes. But a system, a real, consistent routine, turns discipline into reflex. That's how soldiers rise at 4 a.m. without thinking. That's how top performers execute daily rituals like breathing. That's how professionals dominate amateurs. They don't depend on feelings. They depend on structure. Here's the truth. Your brain loves automation. It saves energy by turning repeated actions into habits. You've already automated things. Scrolling your phone, hitting snooze, checking notifications. Those are accidental routines built by emotion. Now it's time to build intentional ones driven by purpose. Structure your life like an athlete preparing for battle. A morning ritual that ignites momentum. A work block that eliminates distractions. A night shutdown routine that resets your focus. 3 pillars, 1 system, 0 emotion. Let's break that down. 1. Morning ritual. Start before emotion. Your first hour defines your day. If you start reactive, you stay reactive. If you start intentional, you stay in control. Before touching your phone, center yourself. Move your body, drink water, review your priorities. That's not cliche. That's control. You tell your brain, we lead, we don't follow. Every repetition builds confidence that your actions aren't driven by mood. They're driven by mission. 2. Work block. Eliminate decision fatigue. Set fixed times for deep focus. 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever fits your goal. But make it sacred. During that time, no phone, no notifications, no multitasking. Why? Because every distraction is a micro decision. And every micro decision drains energy that should be spent executing. You can't stay disciplined if you constantly redecide what matters. So build your battlefield. Same time, same place, same process. That's how work becomes flow instead of friction. Third night routine, reset, don't collapse. Most people end their day scrolling, complaining, or collapsing. But the disciplined mind resets. End your day by cleaning your environment, preparing tomorrow's tasks, and reflecting for 2 minutes. Not on emotion, on performance. Ask yourself, what did I execute well today? What needs to improve? What's my first move tomorrow? Then stop thinking about it. Shut it down. Rest is part of discipline, not its opposite. You don't rest because you're lazy. You rest because you're strategic. When you repeat these systems, something powerful happens. Action becomes automatic. Consistency becomes identity. You're no longer forcing discipline. You're living it. It's not about mood anymore. It's about motion. This is why routines matter. They take the emotion out of the equation. You no longer ask, do I feel like it? You just do it. That's when you win every single day, quietly, efficiently, relentlessly. Understand this. Routines don't make life boring. They make success inevitable. Your creativity, your energy, your discipline all expand when structure supports them. You don't need freedom from structure. You need freedom through structure. Because the more you organize your life, the more power you have to focus on what truly matters. But be careful. A routine without purpose becomes prison. The goal isn't to live like a robot. It's to live like a commander. Structure is a tool. You build it, you adjust it, you own it. So if something doesn't serve your mission, refine it, don't quit it. Discipline isn't rigidity, it's adaptability within order. Let me give you a rule that will change your life. If it matters, schedule it. Don't hope you'll find time. Create it. Put it on the calendar. Protect it like oxygen. Because if it's not scheduled, it's not real. Stop waiting for free time. Manufacture it. That's what disciplined people do. They design their days before the world designs them. You must also protect your routine from emotional sabotage. The world will test your structure every day. Distractions, invitations, chaos. Your job is to defend your rhythm. Say no. Turn off. Disconnect when needed. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. You can't build greatness if you constantly rebuild focus. You need continuity, and that comes only from routine. Think of your routines as tracks on a railway. The train doesn't argue where to go. It follows the rails you built. That's your mind on a strong system. Automatic, unstoppable, precise. And when emotion tries to derail you, your system keeps you aligned. You'll still feel tired. You'll still feel fear. But your structure will carry you through. That's when you realize freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from doing what you must, automatically. You've built a structure that removes emotion. You've replaced randomness with rhythm. And now your life runs on command, not on chaos. But there's still one test left. A truth that separates the good from the truly great. Because no matter how strong your routines are, you'll eventually hit the wall. The moments that hurt, that exhaust, that demand sacrifice. And when that time comes, your discipline will depend on how much pain you can endure. That's what we face next. Chapter 7, Discipline over Motivation Every Time. Motivation is a liar. It shows up when it wants, leaves when it's bored, and vanishes the moment you need it most. Discipline, on the other hand, never leaves you. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't need your permission. It does the work every day, every time. That's why the disciplined will always defeat the motivated, because motivation is temporary fire. Discipline is the furnace that never goes out. Motivation says, I'll start when I feel inspired. Discipline says, I start because it's time. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is decision. And once you understand that difference, your whole life changes. You stop chasing sparks. You start building engines, because engines run in storms. Engines run in silence. Engines run when the world forgets about you. We live in a culture obsessed with motivation. Everywhere you look, quotes, speeches, videos, people chase that emotional high. But here's the truth. The people who win aren't the ones who feel inspired. They're the ones who show up even when they don't. Motivation fades. Habits remain. And when habits are fueled by discipline, they build momentum that emotion can't touch. Motivation asks, do I want to? Discipline answers, it doesn't matter. When you're tired, when you're sad, when you're bored, discipline keeps you on track. Because discipline isn't about passion, it's about purpose. Purpose doesn't need adrenaline, it needs loyalty, and that's what you must give it. daily, consistent loyalty to your mission. Motivation feels good because it tricks you into believing progress is emotional. It gives you dopamine without delivery. You feel like you've done something just by watching someone else do it. But discipline doesn't care about dopamine. It cares about data, results, repetition, reputation. The discipline don't chase emotion, they chase execution. That's why discipline will always win the long game. Think about the greatest athletes, artists, or entrepreneurs you know. Do you think they're motivated every day? They're disciplined. They show up when they're tired. They work through boredom. They execute through pain. Motivation got them started. Discipline kept them standing. That's why the finish line belongs to the consistent, not the inspired. Motivation is fragile. It breaks under pressure. Discipline is forged in pressure. It gets stronger under weight. When life gets hard, motivation leaves first. It whispers, "This isn't worth it." Discipline whispers back, "Do it anyway." That's the voice you must train to obey, because motivation will make you start something new every week. Discipline will make you finish what you start. Here's the truth no one tells you. Motivation is for amateurs. Discipline is for professionals. The amateur needs emotion to move. The professional moves regardless. That's what separates those who talk from those who transform. Stop trying to feel ready. Stop trying to feel inspired. Start being responsible. You don't owe your dreams enthusiasm. You owe them execution. Let me be clear. Motivation isn't evil. It's just inconsistent. Use it when it's there, but never depend on it. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the generator. The spark may start the fire, but the generator keeps the lights on. You can't build a legacy on mood swings. You build it on systems, habits, and relentless repetition. That's why discipline feels boring, because it's stable. And stability is the foundation of success. Motivation says, "I'll do my best." Discipline says, "I'll do what's required." That's the difference between effort and standard. Motivation runs on feeling. Discipline runs on identity. When you're disciplined, you don't ask, "Should I?" You say, "This is who I am." And identity beats emotion every time. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people start a workout program. One is motivated, he's excited, posting progress, talking about goals. The other is disciplined, quiet, consistent, no announcement, no excuses. After a month, motivation fades. The posts stop. But discipline? It's still there, unchanged, unshaken. And in the end, results always expose who was who. That's the law of consistency. Emotion fades, but evidence stays. The key to building discipline is this. Stop rewarding yourself only when you feel like it. Start rewarding yourself for showing up, not for being inspired. You must rewire your brain to associate satisfaction with action, not with feeling. Every time you act without motivation, you strengthen your mental muscle. Every time you wait for motivation, you weaken it. So train yourself to move first and think later, because motion creates motivation, not the other way around. Let's destroy a myth. People say, "I lost motivation." No, you lost momentum. Momentum dies when you stop doing. So keep doing, even when you don't feel like it. That's how motivation is reborn, from motion, not mood. The moment you move, your brain releases energy, confidence, and purpose. Action feeds emotion, so never wait for the feeling. Create it. Repeat this mantra until it becomes instinct. Motivation starts the fire. Discipline keeps it burning. You can light a match every morning if you want, but you'll get burned out. Or you can build a furnace that never stops. That furnace is discipline. And once you've built it, no weather can touch you. Not fatigue, not fear, not failure. Because the furnace doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on who you've decided to be. When you live by discipline, you stop needing external validation. You don't care about applause, likes, or attention. Your reward is the result. Your fuel is your standard. And that's when life becomes powerful, because your consistency no longer needs an audience. You are not supposed to feel motivated every day. You're supposed to be disciplined every day. The world celebrates passion, but it forgets persistence. Discipline is persistence. It's the quiet force behind every achievement that lasts. Motivation might get you noticed. Discipline gets you remembered. You've now learned the truth. Motivation is emotional gasoline. It burns fast and disappears. Discipline is nuclear energy. It lasts for life. And when you stop relying on emotional highs, you start building eternal power. You've mastered structure. You've mastered consistency. Now it's time to face the hardest truth of all: pain. Because discipline without sacrifice is fantasy. And pain, whether physical or emotional, is the true price of power. That's where we go next. Chapter 8. Pain is the price of power. Everybody wants strength, but nobody wants the weight that builds it. Everybody wants confidence, but nobody wants the moments that demand it. Everybody wants power, but few are willing to pay its price. That price is pain. And make no mistake, it's non-negotiable. You can't become powerful without suffering. You can't build resilience without resistance. You can't master yourself without pain. Pain is the tuition you pay for greatness. When you understand that, everything changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Pain isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's life shaping you, refining you, hardening you for what's next. Every rep in the gym burns. Every hour of focused work aches. Every lonely night of discipline stings. But all of it is molding you into someone unshakable. The weak avoid pain. The strong use it. Avoidance creates fragility. Endurance creates force. Pain is the forge, and you are the metal. You must step into the fire willingly, knowing that what enters screaming leaves shining. That's how warriors are made: through struggle, through sweat, through scars. Understand this: pain is not the enemy. Fear of pain is. Pain is data. It tells you where you still have limits. It tells you what still controls you. And if you listen closely, it shows you the path forward. So stop running from it. Face it. Study it. Let it teach you, because pain reveals what comfort hides. Everyone says they want transformation, but transformation hurts. Growth means loss. Loss of comfort, ego, illusion. And each layer you shed will sting. But that sting means progress. You're becoming someone new. You're replacing weakness with strength, noise with clarity. When it hurts, that's not a sign you're breaking. It's proof you're rebuilding. Think about every great figure in history, every athlete, artist, leader. Their stories are not tales of ease. They're stories of struggle, of nights when nobody believed, of setbacks, rejections, defeats, and yet every ounce of pain became their foundation. Pain gave them perspective. Pain gave them hunger. Pain gave them truth. They didn't escape the fire. They became the fire. Here's the hard truth. Pain will visit you either way. You can experience the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One is temporary, the other lasts forever. You choose which one to carry. The pain of discipline builds you. The pain of regret buries you. And once you understand that, the choice becomes simple. You can't numb your way to strength. You can't distract yourself to greatness. Every time you reach for comfort, scrolling, snacking, escaping, you weaken your threshold for pain. And the less pain you can handle, the smaller your life becomes. But every time you embrace discomfort, wake up early, train hard, stay focused, you expand your capacity. Pain tolerance is power tolerance. Discipline and pain are twins, inseparable, equal, essential. Discipline gives pain purpose. Pain gives discipline depth. Without pain, discipline is theory. With pain, it's transformation. You cannot master your mind until you've mastered your suffering, because true discipline is choosing to continue even when everything inside you says stop. That's the test of champions. You will face moments when the world feels heavy, when your energy fades, when you wonder if it's even worth it. That's the moment most people quit, right before the breakthrough. Pain guards the door to power, and only those who endure it get to walk through. Every time you persist in pain, you build proof. Proof that you're strong enough. Proof that you can survive anything. And that proof becomes unshakable confidence. Pain isn't the end of discipline. It's the evolution of it. At first, you force yourself to move despite emotion. Then you force yourself to endure despite suffering. That's the next level. Staying composed under pain, not panicking, not quitting, not collapsing, just breathing through it, trusting that every second of pain is building someone greater. You must train your mind to whisper, "This hurts, but it's making me powerful," because that's the truth. Most people think avoiding pain protects them, but it only delays it. The pain you avoid today compounds into regret tomorrow. So take it now, upfront, intentional, productive. Choose short-term discomfort over long-term disappointment, because the price of progress is paid in advance. Here's the paradox. Once you stop fearing pain, it stops controlling you. Once you welcome struggle, it loses its sting. You realize pain doesn't break you, it introduces you to your strength. And that's when you become dangerous, because the person who is not afraid to suffer cannot be stopped. You must make peace with pain, invite it, respect it, let it refine you, because every powerful person you admire has one thing in common. They've suffered and stayed standing. The difference is not talent, it's tolerance. How much pain you can endure without breaking determines how far you'll go without limits. From now on, see pain as a teacher. When it shows up, don't flinch. Focus. Ask, what are you here to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you humility. Maybe it's teaching you endurance, but it's always teaching you something. Listen, learn, grow, because every lesson you master through pain becomes part of your power. You've learned that pain is not punishment, it's the path. And when you stop resisting it, you start rising through it. From now on, let pain sharpen you, not silence you. Let it carve discipline deeper into your character. Let it remind you, every time it hurts, you're building strength nobody can steal. You've paid the price. You've earned the scars. Now it's time to protect what you've built. Because even the strongest discipline can crumble if you let energy leaks, negativity, drama, chaos drain your focus. The next chapter will teach you how to defend your discipline like a fortress. Chapter 9. Protect your energy, not your excuses. Discipline is not just about what you do. It's about what you allow around you. You can build the strongest mindset in the world, but if you let your energy leak into the wrong people, distractions, or excuses, you will drain your power before you ever use it. You can't rise if you keep feeding what keeps you weak. You must protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Energy is everything. It's your fuel, your focus, your foundation, every thought. Every person, every environment either charges you or drains you. The problem: most people waste their power on noise. They argue, scroll, gossip, complain, and then wonder why they feel exhausted before they've even started the real work. They don't have energy for discipline because they've spent it defending their excuses. You have to choose: protect your power or protect your comfort. You can't do both. Excuses are parasites. They feed on your attention until you start believing them. And the more you feed them, the weaker you become. You say, I'm too tired. You say, I don't have time. You say, it's not fair. But those words don't describe your limits. They create them. Every excuse is a small surrender, and every surrender takes energy away from your mission. From now on, you must treat your energy as sacred. You don't owe it to everyone. You don't share it freely. You invest it where it multiplies, in growth, in progress, in peace. That means boundaries. Boundaries are not selfish. They're survival. You can't build discipline in chaos. You can't stay focused while entertaining negativity. You can't stay strong while feeding weak environments. Protect your peace like a warrior guards the gate. No entry without purpose. Look around your life right now. Who drains you? Who distracts you? Who pushes you off your path? These are not bad people, but they might be bad for your focus. And if your mission matters, you must make choices that protect it. The disciplined understand this. You don't need to hate anyone to outgrow them. You simply stop letting them access the energy you need for yourself. That's not ego. That's evolution. Protecting your energy means more than avoiding people. It means managing your environment. Because your surroundings are either your ally or your enemy. Clutter drains clarity. Noise kills focus. Constant stimulation numbs drive. The disciplined person designs their space to support their standards. Their workspace is clean. Their mornings are quiet. Their devices are controlled. They don't leave discipline to chance. They engineer it. Energy protection also means mastering what you consume. Every word you read, every video you watch, every thought you entertain, it all enters your system. Ask yourself, does this content build my focus or break it? Does it fuel my goals or distract me from them? Because you can't fill your mind with trash and expect clarity. You can't feed your brain chaos and expect control. Feed your mind the same way you feed your body, with intention, not impulse. There's another hidden energy leak: complaining. Every time you complain, you reprogram your mind to feel powerless. You reinforce the idea that life happens to you instead of for you. The disciplined mind doesn't complain. It corrects. It doesn't waste energy describing the problem. It spends energy solving it, so the next time you catch yourself complaining, stop. Take that same breath and redirect it into action. Because power leaks through words before it leaks through effort. Let's talk about your inner circle. Your environment shapes your energy, but your circle shapes your standards. You will always rise or fall to the level of the people you surround yourself with. If you spend your time with the undisciplined, you'll start thinking excuses are normal. If you spend your time with the consistent, you'll start thinking excellence is expected. Energy is contagious. Surround yourself with people who make focus feel natural. The disciplined don't compete with their circle. They sharpen each other. There's a reason successful people value solitude. Silence is where you recharge. Noise is where you deplete. When you spend time alone, you reconnect with your purpose. You hear your own thoughts. You refuel your drive. But when you're constantly surrounded by noise, social media, gossip, negativity, you lose the signal of who you are. Learn to enjoy quiet, because solitude isn't isolation, it's insulation. It protects your energy from contamination. You must also learn to say one of the hardest words for a disciplined person: no to distractions, no to drama, no to unnecessary battles. Not every invitation deserves your attendance. Not every argument deserves your voice. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. The more successful you become, the more selective you must be. Because success multiplies requests, but discipline multiplies results. Choose wisely which one you serve. Here's a truth most people miss: your discipline is only as strong as your environment allows it to be. If you constantly expose yourself to noise, chaos, and negativity, you're not testing discipline, you're draining it. So build systems that protect it. Turn your phone off during work hours. Block websites that waste time. Keep a morning routine that isolates focus. Protect your environment so it can protect your mind. You don't need more energy. You just need fewer leaks. Stop pouring yourself into what doesn't grow you. Stop fighting battles that don't build you. Stop defending excuses that don't define you. Excuses feel like relief in the moment, but they rob you of strength for years. Protect your energy, and your excuses will die from starvation. You've come too far to keep giving your power away. You've trained your mind, conquered pain, built structure. Now it's time to defend what you've built. From people, from distractions, from yourself. You are not weak for saying no. You're wise. You're protecting the engine that drives everything you've worked for. Remember this mantra: energy is my currency. Focus is my weapon. Discipline is my defense. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Because when you master your energy, you master your direction. You stop reacting to life and start commanding it. You've built control. You've built protection. Now there's only one step left: the final transformation. Because when discipline stops being something you do and starts being something you are, you become unstoppable. That's where we finish this journey. Chapter 10, Become the Person Who Can't Be Stopped. This is where it all comes together. Every early morning, every hard day, every painful decision to act when you didn't want to. All of it was leading here, to the moment when discipline is no longer something you practice, but something you are. This is the final stage, the transformation, when you no longer need to force yourself because the force is you. In the beginning, discipline feels like a fight. You battle your comfort, your laziness, your emotions. You drag yourself through resistance, step by step, but over time, something shifts. You stop begging yourself to move. You stop negotiating with weakness. You start executing automatically. That's when you know you've crossed over from effort to identity. Discipline isn't just action anymore. It's instinct. It's the default setting of your life. You don't try to be consistent. You are consistent. You don't try to show up. You live showing up the same way you breathe without thinking. You act without hesitation. Because the disciplined life is not a performance. It's your permanent state. This is what people don't understand about mastery. They think greatness is about constant motivation or daily excitement. It's not. Greatness is quiet. It's repetition without applause. It's excellence without an audience. When you become the person who can't be stopped, you don't need validation. You don't need reminders. You don't even need momentum. You move anyway. At this level, you no longer ask, "Can I?" You ask, "How far can I go?" You've built a reflex to rise. You've built immunity to excuse. You've built a new identity, the person who keeps going no matter what. You've learned that the only permission you ever needed was your own. And now, nothing external can control you. People will wonder how you do it. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll say, "It's easy for you." They won't understand that it was never easy. It was discipline, repeated until it became nature. They didn't see the years of silence, the battles inside your head, the mornings you rose before the world, the pain you turned into progress. They won't see it, but they'll feel it when you walk in the room, because power can't be hidden. It radiates from the disciplined. The person who can't be stopped isn't perfect. They feel fear. They feel doubt. They feel exhaustion. But they've learned something the average person never does. You don't need to eliminate weakness. You just need to dominate it. You don't wait for perfect conditions. You build progress in imperfect conditions. That's why you win. Because you don't stop when it hurts. You evolve when it hurts. You must understand this truth. Every obstacle is a test, not of your ability, but of your identity. The world is constantly asking you, who are you really? When it gets hard, when you're tired, broke, ignored, underestimated, that's the moment the question appears. And your answer must be the same. Every single time, I am the one who doesn't stop. That sentence alone is power. When you reach this level, you stop chasing consistency because consistency is who you are. You no longer need to restart. You no longer fall apart when things go wrong. You adapt. You endure. You execute. You are not reactive. You are relentless. You are not emotional. You are focused. You are not motivated. You are moved by purpose. That's the mark of the unstoppable. You don't need recognition anymore. You don't need proof. You don't even need proof. You don't even need progress to feel powerful. Because the act of showing up is the proof. The act of staying committed is the progress. You've built something unbreakable, internal momentum, the kind of energy that doesn't need to be recharged, because it comes from who you've become. This is what true freedom feels like. Not doing whatever you want, but having complete control over what you do. Freedom isn't the absence of discipline, it's the mastery of it. You wake up every day and move with purpose. Not because you have to, because you get to. That's what separates you from the old you. The old you waited to feel ready. The new you creates readiness through movement. Listen carefully, there's no finish line. There's no "I've made it." Because the person who can't be stopped doesn't need to arrive anywhere. Their reward is the process. Their fulfillment is the consistency. You don't chase the goal anymore. You embody the standard. That's how you sustain, discipline for life. You've already proven to yourself that you can endure. You've proven you can act without emotion. You've proven you can silence the voice that negotiates. You've proven you can structure your world and protect your energy. Now, all that's left is to live it. Daily, silently, relentlessly. Let your habits speak for you. Let your actions explain you. Let your discipline define you. Because at this point, you are not trying to be disciplined. You are discipline in motion. And here's the paradox of it all. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel. The more control you build, the more peace you gain. The more consistent you are, the less chaos you experience. Discipline was never a prison. It was the key. The key to freedom, the key to power, the key to becoming everything you were meant to be. So when life tests you again, and it will remember everything you've built, you don't need to prove anything anymore. You just need to continue. That's what unstoppable people do. They continue. They don't rush. They don't react. They don't retreat. They just keep moving. Because discipline isn't speed, it's endurance. And endurance wins every race. You are no longer chasing discipline. You are no longer forcing discipline. You are embodying discipline. You are the person who can't be stopped. You are the proof that force, pain, focus, and control can build something unbreakable. Now it's your time to lead, to show others what consistency looks like, to become the living example that discipline works. And when they ask you how you did it, smile and say, I didn't wait to feel ready. I just decided to never stop. This is who you are now, not motivated, not emotional, not temporary. You are the force. You are the discipline. You are unstoppable.